Stay tuned for the Splash Live. It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the Greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am your host, Kevin McIntosh. Starting off with our top story for today, a massive upgrade to West Bloomfield Elementary Schools is officially underway. As the West Bloomfield School District broke ground on their project to demolish Chico Elementary and replace it with a state-of-the-art new facility. I actually had a chance to speak to many of the people behind the project about the goals behind the new building and how it will improve student education for young kids of the future.
The goal for us for Chico Elementary is to build a new state-of-the-art elementary that is a K through 5 building. It has a beautiful playground. It has a STEAM lab that's in the front of the building, multiple wings, and just, like I said, have a state-of-the-art building that is new for this district.
Chico's transformation is part of a larger district-wide effort to modernize all elementary facilities. 2 new schools will replace Chico and Doherty, while Gretschko and Scotch Elementary will receive significant upgrades to enhance the student experience.
We're really excited about this new building because this building is suited to tailor our students of today, but also our students of tomorrow. Remember, there's going to be children going through this building for the next 70, maybe 100 years, and it's important that our learning environments match the needs of our students. For example, students who in my day are much different than students of the future, so we want to make sure that we keep up with the latest technology, make sure that we have natural light and space within our building so that our students can thrive.
For community members and former students alike, today's event is more than a ceremony. It's a promise of a brighter, more enriching educational experience.
It's going to give all the students a wonderful new facility. Everything will be upgraded, everything will be safe, and I think it'll bring such a huge, piece of Michigan history into the education. When I went here, when it was green school from, 1995 to 2000, we spent a lot of time learning about Michigan history and especially the local history here. And I think having that built into the school will help students remember it, and it'll mean so much more for them.
During the 2-year construction period, Chico's students will attend classes at the Abbott Building. Arch Construction aims to complete the new building by 2026 school year, bringing the vision of a 21st century learning environment to life.
There's always challenges with building in Michigan. Starting right out the bat, we're going to be starting in the winter months of construction. So making sure that we get out ahead of the game, we get the foundations in the ground, and we start building the building out of the ground. Schedule's always a challenge. Manpower, materials, making sure we're on top of that, and that helps with as a team collaborative effort to get the right people on the job.
I think it's fair to say that students and families alike have a lot to look forward to with this brand new Chico Elementary building. If you want to keep up with all the West Bloomfield School District projects, visit their website, wbsd.org, for more information regarding that. The Greater West Bloomfield community showing appreciation for a local organization's historic milestone, by the way. Last night, the Historical Society celebrated 50 years of service to the community, inviting its members and other residents of the community to stop by the West Bloomfield Library. Of course, having been part of the township for 50 years, the society has gone through some changes over time, but they've never wavered from their mission to provide historical information and clarity to the people of West Bloomfield. We actually had a chance to speak with a few members of the society, including Charles Packer, who explained a big reason as to why the society has and always will have a lasting impact.
This Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society has really moved into the digital age, really embraced dynamics of its social media, website, digitizing archives. I think things like that will just continue, as it continues to happen, it'll just make history of this area more available to many, many people.
A lot of history actually has been put on display over the few years, and that actually has enlightened every generation within our community. And Charles Packer actually continued and went on to detail as to why it's important to be showcasing this side of history, especially to the younger crowd.
I think it's so important that people really know where they live and where the people have, what the people have done to make the community what it is, and we can never start too young to help young people really get an appreciation for some of the, just unique aspects of this area and what people have done over the years and how that's been preserved.
It's not just the residents who get a sense of enlightenment from the society, but the members as well, who have witnessed a lot over those 50 years, by the way. Member Robert Gregory talked to us about some of the things that he's witnessed throughout this involvement with the society.
Well, I've been involved in it in a little over 30, and it's been a quiet affair, and a lot of people have come as a matter of their interest. They live here, and there's other people who have lived here, like Native Americans, and others have visited, like the King of Hawaii and his son. So we do have a little bit to talk about and a lot of pictures to show.
And to actually keep up with the entire Greater Historical Society, Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society's 50th anniversary, and to engage with everything that they have going on, visit them on their Facebook page, facebook.com/GWBHS, as in Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society. It's a special time right here in West Bloomfield. It's opening night for Shakespeare at the West Bloomfield High School. Get yourself ready for an enchanting evening of love, laughter, and magic at West Bloomfield High School presents A Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare. Performances begin tonight, November 14th, and run through Saturday, November 16th, with shows at 7 p.m. each night. There's also a special matinee 1 p.m. on November 16th, designed to accommodate the deaf and hard of hearing community. Tickets are just $5 for West Bloomfield students, and general admission is only $15. It's not breaking the bank. You can buy your tickets at the door or online, by the way. You just want to get more information about it and what's going on, it's easier to just visit them on their Facebook page, facebook.com/West Bloomfield Schools for more information. We also want to briefly announce or congratulate a local educator who was named a finalist for a state award. We're thrilled to announce that Susie Eisner of West Bloomfield High School has been named a finalist for the 2025 Michigan Assistant Principal of the Year Award. That's pretty nice right there. This honor highlights Eisner's outstanding dedication to her students, faculty, and just the entire West Bloomfield community. Known for her leadership and commitment to student success, Eisner has made a lasting impact on the lives of students and staff alike. We congratulate her on this significant achievement and wish her the best in her final selection. Once again, you can find out more about this process and wish her luck too on the Facebook page of West Bloomfield Schools at West Bloomfield Schools for more information. Quick reminder, just in case you are back and forth to the West Bloomfield Library, they announced that the drive-up has returned, by the way. Great news if you are a user, a frequent user. Like we said, the drive-up circle has officially reopened. You can use the drive-up windows, return bins, and the Friends donation bin as well. However, please be aware, parking lot pickup has been discontinued. So the library also has no COVID-19 tests available. They want us to let you all know that. And the state distribution has paused that COVID-19 test by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. The library does want to thank everyone for their patience as the library prepared the building for the upcoming winter season, like we all should. For more information, go to wblib.org regarding the West Bloomfield Library. Very, very special time in West Bloomfield, as well as we actually celebrated signing day earlier this week, where student athletes officially signed their letter of intent for future colleges. A very, very special time within West Bloomfield, within the community in general. So joining us right here live on The Splash to give a little bit more context as to signing day from West Bloomfield High School baseball, we have head coach Josh Bernberg. Thank you for being here, Coach.
I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you.
Yeah, man, it was pretty cool being there, actually, you know, having a chance to witness these student athletes move on to the next level, having their families there. I want to talk about all of that. But first with you, what does signing day mean to you as a coach to see your players commit to such prestigious schools?
Oh, it's phenomenal. I mean, having them the last 4 years and seeing their process and how they came in as, you know, little freshmen and seeing them grow up to be big, strong seniors that are going on to such great schools and seeing all the work they've put in behind the scenes. I mean, a lot of people just come and see our games and that's awesome. But I get a front row seat to a lot of work they put in, you know, when no one else is watching. And they really deserve it all. I mean, it's nice to be able to take 30 minutes to an hour to celebrate all the work that they put in, because those kids sure as heck deserve it.
Oh, yes, 100%, man. It was good to see the excitement in their faces and them kind of give the speeches to their families and things as well. And like I said, I want to explore that a little bit more, but I feel like it's important for us to ask you, as a former student athlete yourself at West Bloomfield, just talk about how that entire process actually helped you grow into the man that you are now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, those were huge 4 years for me. And the baseball program was obviously a big part of that. It feels like, you know, you come into West Bloomfield as a little kid, as a boy, and, you know, when you graduate, you know, but between the teachers that are there and the 4 years you go through and your coaches, you hope to become, you know, more of a man. And I think that these kids that we've been lucky enough to have go through signing day, especially those two yesterday, definitely have gone through that process. And I've seen them grow up and seen them take more of a leadership role with the team as they've gotten older, and expect them to do the same thing for this upcoming season in 2025.
Yes, man, that's pretty cool right there. And since you mentioned the two athletes, let's talk about them specifically. Stephen Fountain and Slade Moore signed their letters of intent. Can you just talk about how watching those two athletes grow as leaders on the team, just talk about that experience?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I put it on my social media yesterday, but I truly believe that those are two of the best players that have ever come through the hallways at West Bloomfield as far as baseball goes. So, you know, they were young. You know, they've been playing really on varsity since their freshman year in some capacity. So I've really had them all 4 years, and I've gotten to know them. And I coach Stevie's older brother, so I've known the families for a long time. And they've always been good. So they've really been contributing to winning right away since they walked foot in the building as freshmen, and they just keep getting better and better and better. And they see the success they have, and they knew it could take them to the next level in college, and got them seen by the right people in the spring and the summer. And one thing leads to another, and you see them signing to two phenomenal universities. And I love to see them staying close to home so that we can go watch them play and their families can go watch them play.
I already know that you feel good about that, man, watching that development, being a huge part of that entire process, too, and that motivation, man. Congratulations to you on that. But with us right here live on The Splash from West Bloomfield High School, we have head coach of the baseball team, Josh Bernberg, talking about signing day and the growth of athletes, and also just talking about the community, which I want to speak on now. Just speak to the nature of the support from the West Bloomfield community before the season, before athletics, before high school, during their season, and even afterwards. Just talk about how that actually works.
Yeah, we're lucky. We had great support always in the baseball community when I played, and that's the same way now, maybe even more so. Obviously, with our turf field, that we got back in 2020 or for the 2021 season, I think it brought some more people out just with the beautiful facility that we had there, and we started to win a lot of baseball games. And if people weren't into it before, I think more and more people got involved and got into it, and everyone wants to be a part of a winning program. And people in West Bloomfield just really care about the baseball team. It's always been a team that, for the most part, has been really good, and we want to continue that tradition and keep people coming out and keep families interested. And I think really the best way to do it, honestly, is as coaches, to care a lot about what's going on out there and keep winning games and keep sending kids on to play college baseball, wherever it is. Any program that these kids are lucky enough to go play, as long as they continue their baseball career, if they love to play, it's a special experience for these guys.
I got to be honest with you, Coach. That speaks volumes to the system that's created. If you're having students come in as freshmen, leave out as seniors, or whatever the case may be, and then sign letters of intent, and this has been a repeated process, that literally speaks to your system. How do you approach the challenge of helping these student athletes balance academic and athletic commitments as they prepare for college and just to be young adults?
Yeah, to be honest, it's easy because in baseball, academics is so big. If you want to play college baseball, academics is something that must be there for you. You have to have a certain GPA to even be seen by these schools at the next level, or they don't even want anything to do with you. And in baseball, very often do kids receive full scholarships like you see in basketball and football. So academic money becomes very important. So it's kind of both ways. You need the grades to even be, have the schools interested in you. And then once they are interested in you, if they want you, it helps your family a whole lot to be able to get some extra scholarship money in there for academics. So it's a huge part of it, just explaining that that's how it works. If you want to play college baseball, I think it's enough for these kids to take that very seriously and for them to take just the classroom just as serious as they do the baseball field.
No, that's a great point, because the challenge or the process to get to the major leagues, if that is their goal, it's a lot more challenging in baseball than other sports. I know. I've had family members and relatives trying to climb that hill to get to the pros, and there's so many different semi-pro leagues that you have, in most cases. So no, I 100% get it. But like we said, overall, just getting them from high school to that next level, that just speaks volumes to your specific system and your preparation for them. You said two of the best baseball players to kind of leave or go through West Bloomfield. I want you to kind of speak to that. How do you feel like their impact, Stephen and Slade's impact and achievements, will kind of affect not only just West Bloomfield baseball, but the younger players there also?
Yeah, I mean, I think it gives the younger guys in our program and even the older guys, some of them, this, something to look up to a little bit. I mean, to have two kids going to, Power 5 schools like that, Michigan and Michigan State, in-state schools, programs we're familiar with, I think it's special. Rarely do you see, a public school be able to turn out two Division I commits in the same class of 2025 for these guys.
Good point.
It's awesome. Those two guys, I mean, Slade is left-handed pitcher, one of the best pitchers, probably not only in the state, but in the country. I've seen the kid just compete at the highest level across the country for the last 2 years on my summer team as well. And there's just not a whole lot of kids out there that are better than him. And he's done it for us offensively and defensively also throughout his time here. And the same goes for Stevie. I mean, he was phenomenal for me in the summer last year all across the country. And he hits like crazy, and he's great on defense. I mean, kids, people see him and they see 6'10", and they assume that he's clumsy or, he doesn't have good coordination. He's a phenomenal athlete with great hand-eye coordination, and it surprises people. And you really see it, pay dividends for him out there on the baseball field on a day-to-day basis.
Man, that was the first thing I noticed. I said, yo, this kid is tall. I met him like, man, like, how you doing? He is super tall. That's like, he get a little bit of meat on his bones. Next Aaron Judge out there, man. That's going to be serious.
No doubt. For sure. No, like I said it yesterday, the sky's the limit for him. I think he's just scratching the surface, and I really feel the same way about Slade. So I think it's two guys that, as good as they are right now in high school, I think that they'll even be better once they get in their college programs.
Nice, man. Before we let you go, essentially, hopes, expectations for the upcoming season.
Yeah, win as many games as possible. It's we've been really good the last few years, top 10 team in the state every time they come out with the rankings. And we just run into a really strong team in the playoffs every year. So goal will always remain the same. Want to win as many games as possible, win a league championship, and then make a run come state playoff time.
Perfect, perfect. Well, we wish you luck on everything. Congratulations again on your student athletes going on to the next level. Speaks volumes to what you're doing there in your program. Once again, from West Bloomfield High School baseball head coach, Coach Josh Bernberg. Thank you again, sir.
I appreciate you and all your coverage. Appreciate you guys.
For sure. Anytime, anytime. We love to speak to our leaders right here that's leading the youth to that next level. Oh, man, you got to be proud as parents in the community just in general. So there's plenty other things to kind of be proud of right here in the Greater West Bloomfield area. In Sylvan Lake specifically, a beloved restaurant is sharing their love and thanks to the community with a very special holiday gathering. The owners of Oral are cooking and baking a scratch traditional Thanksgiving meal with all of the fixings. They have space for 21 additional neighbors to dine with them at a family style and family owned restaurant. Very important thing that they are doing specifically as we approach the holidays and making a very good adjustment as we approach the holidays. So with us right here live on the Splash, we have co-owner of Oral. We have Daryl Jolly. Thank you for being here, Daryl. So we're talking about a tradition that you all are doing or something new in Sylvan Lake. Can you just give a little bit more details as to what you are doing and why you're doing it?
It's something that we did as a family growing up. We always had 2 or 3 people at our table that were not family, but they were, in need of some place to go. My grandparents were pastors at a church in Port Huron. Okay. And when they would come on Thanksgiving and Christmas, they would bring a couple of people who were either widowers or they didn't, they were single, didn't have anywhere to go. And so it's kind of an amalgamation of reasons why we're doing this. I kind of like to rekindle that spirit from my youth. Mm-hmm. The economy's not that great right now. I know a lot of people are out there suffering.
Right.
And I want to return back to Sylvan Lake, which is an amazing community. It is the most, supportive, community-oriented city I've ever lived in.
Yes.
And we just decided that we wanted to, give back.
And we love that too. Like I said, specifically during the holiday seasons, it's very important to do things like that for people who may not have the same family or environment or be fortunate as the rest of us. But with that being said, why do you initially focus on inviting seniors without family nearby? And what does it mean to you to expand this invitation?
That was always who it was that I was exposed to growing up. And I thought that was probably the most likely group that would avail themselves of this opportunity. But then upon thinking about it, I thought it would be, better to open it up to, anybody.
Right. And that's very good. That just talks about how it evolved over time as well. And just your heart as well and everything that you're doing and just seeing the community. And with the community being in your perspective, how do you feel like having this family-style, Thanksgiving-style dinner with everybody just actually contributes to the sense of community?
When we posted it on, there's 2 Facebook pages here for the community one's called Sokigo.
Okay.
And another one's called Sylvan Lake, What's Going On. When we posted those, oh my gosh, it went crazy. We were getting like, oh my God, God bless you, and hugs and kisses. And I mean, we were inundated. And in my post, I had asked for if there was anybody out there that would be available to offer some delivery service, because we're going to also offer some meals to people who are unable to make it in.
Okay.
For shut-ins and stuff like that, and people who are disabled or whatever. And we got blown up with the first 10 calls where I can help, I'll deliver. And it was amazing. I'm telling you, this community is so engaged with, the local spirit and what's going on here that I literally couldn't pick a better place to live.
I love that. I love that. We always like to highlight the sense of community that we have here in the Greater West Bloomfield area. A lot of people partnering up with different businesses, business owners, community organizations to make certain things like this happen, and we appreciate that. That speaks volumes. With us right here live on The Splash, by the way, co-owner of Oral Restaurant in Sylvan Lake, we have Daryl Jolly, just talking about their initiatives and what they do for Thanksgiving and give back to the community. I want you to just speak on how you feel like this initiative that you all are doing actually aligns with Oral's missions and vision for the community.
Well, this is a true mom and pop restaurant. My wife is also the co-owner, and in case anybody's wondering, she is Mexican, and she's an amazing chef. And she is very particular, and if it isn't right, it ain't going out.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so she, grew up in a family of 7 with 3 sisters, and they are all amazing cooks. Their mother is an amazing cook. She could make a leather boot taste good. And it's amazing watching. When I lived in Mexico for 5 years, I would watch all the ladies, making dinner, and how dinner was an event, and so when they were in there, like, for example, when they were making tamales, it's a pretty laborious process, and you don't make 10 or 20 or 30 tamales. When you're going to go through the effort, you make 100 tamales or 150 tamales.
Wow.
Yeah, to make it worth. They would get an assembly line going, and each person had their part, and man, they would knock those babies out so fast.
Ooh.
It was, pretty amazing. And the correct pronunciation of the restaurant is Orale.
Yes. I was just informed that. Thank you for also, and I apologize for that. But
not
yes,
a problem.
Yes,
we get that all the time.
Yes, but we ultimately appreciate the effort and everything that you're doing as we approach these holiday seasons. I want you to just speak on, if anyone is interested in participating, helping out with this event, how can they find out more? What can they do?
Well, like I said before, we were inundated with people offering to help, and so we have gotten all the help that we could possibly want. Mm-hmm. Now we're probably only about halfway of the spaces available been taken. So we still have, spaces for people to participate. I don't think that I'm concerned that there might be people thinking, oh, there's people out there worse off than me. I'm not gonna participate because somebody else can come on board. Right now, I don't want to see any empty seats. So if you feel, that you could use the support and the help for the holidays, please, call me or text me and let me know that you would like to participate.
Yes.
It's not entirely impossible that it could expand the number if it goes beyond that. I just want to make sure, that I have enough, and we're going to have a great meal prepared. Turkey, ham, mashed potatoes, candied yams, stuffing, cranberry, all the traditional Thanksgiving, dishes.
Perfect. And just real quick, just give the details, the date and the time and location again for people listening and watching now.
Okay, we're at 2530 Orchard Lake Road. Mm-hmm. We're about halfway between Middle Belt and Cass Lake Road. It is at 1 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day. Mm-hmm. And we will be doing our deliveries for the meals starting at around noon, so that we can get that wrapped up and get back, and be ready for everybody when they start showing up at 1 o'clock.
Perfect. Last thing before we, go ahead, continue.
I was gonna say, it'll be full service. There's no charge for this. This is, like I said, this is just totally from our heart and giving back. So don't think of, reasons why you should not participate, but please participate.
Yeah. Ultimately, like you said, you're opening your doors for anyone who just wants to come for a sense of community, a sense of family, and just eat in that family-style Thanksgiving dinner that we all ultimately deserve. So I understand that, and we're glad to be a channel to spread that. Lastly, any other events or things that Orale is doing that you want to kind of give out to the community and let them know?
Nothing planned as of right now. We might we might do something at the Christmas time as well. We'll have to, play that by ear.
Perfect, perfect. And we'll try to continue to stay in touch with you so that we can give out all that information. Once again, co-owner of O'Reilly Restaurant in Sylvan Lake, Daryl Jolly. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you. You have a great week.
Absolutely, you too. Once again, as we approach the holidays, a lot of different things, initiative, organizations doing things to make sure everyone is included and feels special during these times. So we'll continue to keep you updated as we find out more things moving in the Greater West Bloomfield area. We are live, local, social. It is The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live. Bringing you stories and memories from West Bloomfield. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. 2 milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable. The sad reality is, fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kitchen now.
I'm Gina Gregory, president of the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society. I'm excited that Civic Center TV has reached 1 million views on YouTube. Congratulations. That's just terrific. We appreciate everything Civic Center does for the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society and the community. For us, they promote and highlight our events. It's awesome to have them available 24/7 on YouTube. I'm Gina Gregory and proud to be one in a million.
Want to enjoy Civic Center TV on your social media? Find us on Instagram at Civic Center TV. Get notified when we upload one of our interviews, full episodes, and more. Thank you for watching and listening to Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. And now, back to The Splash, live.
Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Thank you for being here. I'm your host for today, Kevin McIntosh. There's a local West Bloomfield resident who actually started a podcast during the COVID-19 pandemic to indulge in his love for pop culture, TV, nostalgia, and movies. And even though it started off as a side project, it is now ranked in the top 1.5% of all listened to podcasts. So join us right here live on The Splash is the host and creator of Classic Conversations, Jeff Dwaskins. Thank you for being here, Jeff.
Hey, how are you? Great to be here.
Doing just fine. I see it looks like you have a nice setup. Is this your podcast setup that we're looking at right now?
It is. It is my
Love
podcast
that.
setup. Yeah.
Love that.
Thank
So
you.
if you're watching on civiccentertv.com, you can see his lovely setup right there. But let's get straight into it. What inspired you to dive into the wonderful world of podcasting during the pandemic?
I always wanted to do podcasting. I originally was really into social media. Well, I still am. And I was going to start a social media-based podcast in 2017 called Viral Intentions. And I kind of just sat on it for a long time. I was really into Twitter at the time and, just Viral Intentions, kind of like Cruel Intentions, the movie. I thought it was, a good play on words. And I just sat on it. And then come March 2020, the pandemic hits and we all are home with some extra time in our hands. And I'm like, oh, I have time finally to do my podcast and realize I can't start a podcast called Viral Intentions in the middle of a pandemic. And so
good one.
I mean, that's not even a joke. It is literally what happened. And I had everything. And so I had to change it. It was originally called the Jeff Dwaskin Show and involved the Classic Conversations as I kind of understood what I was, where I was going with this. And so, but it was always interviews and talking to famous people. I've always loved going to Comic-Cons, the Motor City Comic-Con every year. meeting the celebrities. You can see the 8x10s on my wall if you're watching. And that's what I did. I loved it. So when I'm like, wait, they'll talk to me?
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I can do this. I can do this.
You never know who will respond to you if you just reach out on social media, be like, hey, I'm starting a podcast or I'm doing a pod. I would love to have you. And then next thing you know, hey, I'm down. I'll do it. Nowadays we can just do it from Zoom or do it remotely. It makes things so much easier. Everyone can be a professional interviewer, podcaster, but it makes a difference when you're consistent and you're growing and doing the things like you're doing to become in the top 1.5% of all listened to podcasts. I want to get into your lineup of guests, right? It reads like a tribute to classic television. What draws you to these particular stars and shows?
It's a lot of it's people that I grew up watching, and people from the Brady Bunch, Cousin Oliver and Peter and Cindy and the Love Boat, Isaac, Gopher, and Doc, Happy Days, Ralph Malv and Potsy and Mrs. Cunningham. So these are people I grew up watching, and so to be able to spend time with them and just talk to them about their careers and how they got to where they got to. It's just fascinating, and it's sort of a little dream come true. So it's, once they started saying yes, I'm like, oh, wow, okay, all right, we got something here. So, yeah.
No, you definitely, what I want to highlight is the fact that you definitely tapped into a market. For you to find that lane and then consistently do what you do to put out that content and then grow into the position that you're in, that says a lot. You're in the top 1.5% of listened to podcasts, a remarkable feat. What do you think resonated so strongly with your audience for you to grow to where you are now?
I think if you're in the right demographic and you see these folks, you want to hear them. And I focus the conversations on conversations that I'd want to hear. They're literally conversations. Like I try to make it sound like I've known these folks and we're talking, we've known each other forever.
Right.
Even though that's not the case. And, I put a lot of time into those conversations, and I think the end result of my conversations with these folks, even if they talk to other folks, I usually get something unique in the collaboration. In this particular interview is special.
Yeah, that's kind of my approach too when I think about it, Jeff. I like to talk to strangers like I knew them, like we just got done talking like 5 minutes ago. Let's just pick up from right here. And I've never met you a day in my life. I think that builds organic chemistry between people sometimes. You'd be surprised how that goes. But with us right here live on The Splash, host of the Classic Conversations podcast, Jeff Dwoskin, talking about his success and consistency of creating a podcast in a very saturated market, by the way. With that being said, I know you have a background in comedy. We've already kind of went over that. And also digital media. Just talk about how these two skills/tools have also helped your podcast and platform stand out.
Absolutely. Well, I think being a stand-up comic for 20 years helps me kind of engage and chat and removes a little bit of the fear of talking to somebody, and I can kind of tap into places maybe that other people might not or might not feel comfortable, but I can do it in a way just because I'm used to kind of engaging with people in that particular way and kind of, connecting on that level.
Right.
Digital marketing, it just helps that, I just kind of understand the landscape. I think you have to be really good at social these days to kind of get the word out and promote yourself. It's a lot of self-promotion.
Yeah, and you have to use those tools. That alone can kind of show you or kind of help you stand out. That can make you show up in algorithms. I'll say mastering the digital media side, the SEO side. But how can you keep their attention? You can capture their attention by popping up in the algorithms, but can you keep their attention? Can you keep them engaged? Can you keep them wanting to know what you're doing next in that type of sense? So with that being said, how do you kind of line up or come to the idea of what you're going to feature in the next episode, who you're going to interview and things of that nature?
Well, a lot of it sometimes is, you reach out to 10 people. Sometimes 5 say yes, and sometimes 1 says yes, and sometimes none say yes. So, you go to the next group. My focus is always, which is what I tell anyone, it's like, You can't beat the algorithms. They're going to change underneath you. Just focus on doing good content and good
point.
things. And, everything kind of works out in the end. So that's my focus, is just sort of, doing what I want to do. I do record ahead of, a lot ahead of time. Like I'm not recording today and it releases next Monday type of thing.
Okay.
One thing that's different from my podcast than others, a lot of times they're talking about books, but those books are about their life. So it works perfect for the format that I have. But I'm not like a promotion thing. I'm not like, oh, hey, all right, well, your new show is on Amazon tomorrow and blah, blah. It's not like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm able to then, because I have such a backlog of interviews recorded, I can kind of pace it out, and famous person, person you haven't heard of, but is just as interesting. A lot of the interviews that I do that people may not even understand who they are, because they weren't Penny on Lost in Space, or they weren't, Cagney from Cagney and Lazy. They were Joe Alves, the guy that created the shark in Jaws and made all that visual work. And every visual element, if you're familiar with the movie Close Encounters of the Third Time that you can think of, this guy, Joe Alves, is responsible for. And so like that interview in itself is amazing. It's one of those kind of gems. And there's a lot of those type of gems where you're like, I don't know who this person is, but it's likely their stories are very robust, very amazing. And they're kind of the behind the scenes of the things that you do know about.
I love that perspective. Every now and then you'll stumble across an interview on YouTube. It'll be somebody, I was the executive or assistant production manager or director of such and such movie, but then they have so many stories or different angles or never before heard of stories. You'll be like, wow, I never knew that. So I love that you're bringing that to that, because those are gems, like you said, those hidden stories that you're bringing to the world and to the digital media in general. So keep doing that good work right there. I love that. I'm an advocate for it. Real quick, any guests, dream guest that you want to have that you have not yet had?
I would love to have Henry Winkler on my show. That's sort of like my dream guest.
Yeah.
Seth MacFarlane, Steven Spielberg, those would all be great.
Okay. Names I'm familiar with. I like that. Yeah. Hey, good luck. We hopefully you'll get those. Last question. You mentioned bringing a bit of Michigan into your episodes whenever you can. Can you just talk about the role that Michigan or your Michigan background plays in shaping the podcast, if it does at all?
Yeah, a lot of times when I'm reading someone's memoir or something, like Dean Butler, he was Almanzo on Little House on the Prairie. So he was the one that married Melissa Gilbert's character. If you need to paint it a little more on that. So I'm reading his thing, and it's just, he starts talking about Frankenmuth, Michigan in his memoir. And so we ended up having a conversation about that, because I like to dive into that, because it's like no one else is really going to ask him about that. Right. So we ended up talking about Bronner's, because he was a huge Christmas fan. So we ended up talking about Bronner's, that Christmas Wonderland. And then, I introduced him, but for some reason he hadn't had the fried chicken. So it was like he didn't go to either. I'm like, which one did you go to? And he's like, yeah, I didn't. I'm like, what? He's like, but he was really into the fudge. So it's like, it was like, if you can bring that. And a lot of times they come through Michigan a lot. You know what I mean? Like that, it's been a part of their journey as well, just because Michigan is such a hot spot for entertainment or performing. So it's likely that at some point they've been here.
Yes. Hey, Jeff, thank you so much for bringing some perspectives to us and your podcast. Once again, just tell people how they can watch and or listen to your podcast on any platform, please.
Yeah, if you're a podcast listener, you can go to anyone, type in Classic Conversations. If you also add in my name, Jeff Dwoskin, it probably comes up a little easier. Classic, jeffisfunny.com is my website. You can hit that up. That's the easiest thing to remember probably. And then you can link to any podcasts from there, any player from there as well. So, yeah.
Oh, man. Thank you so much again, man. I'm pretty sure a lot of people who aspire to do podcasts can get a lot of gems out of this information, out of this interview. Once again, host of Classic Conversations podcast, Jeff Dwoskin. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great.
Love to talk to fellow content creators, specifically ones right here in the Greater West Bloomfield area who are doing big things. So continue to support Jeff and search Classic Conversations on podcast platforms to check out what he has going on. As we approach the cold weather season, technically it's already here. Temperatures are expected to dip even lower to the 30s as soon as next week, which more than likely means we will be heating up our homes. And with that being said, that could pose some new hazards that could cause house fires and potentially other dangers. So here to give us some more information, some tips on how we can keep warm and be safe. From the West Bloomfield Fire Department, we have Fire Captain Tim Tarak. Thank you so much for being here, Fire Captain.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, we appreciate that. So kind of just going straight into it, can you just explain some of the biggest hazards that can come along with just heating up our home in the various ways during the winter and colder months?
Well, one of the big ones we already had it recently happen. When you fire up the furnace for the first time of the year, quite often dust settles on the heating coil. And when that furnace first kicks on, that dust burns up and you get a smell of burning in your home. So be aware that the first couple times you fire up the furnace, you might have that smell that is easy to mistake for a problem. And it's quite normal. Just keep an eye on it. It should dissipate shortly after having it on. So that's probably the biggest one as far as the furnace goes. Yeah. Also, it's a good idea to have a licensed contractor come out and do a cleaning on your furnace before that season comes, just to give it a once over and check everything's working. There's no cracks in the flue and whatnot. That's the biggest one for furnace wise. There's a few other, open flames, candles, this time of year with, if you have your menorah going, it's great to have, they have LED candle versions of those now. And for Christmas trees too, when you have those going, make sure you have them watered and use LED lights because they cause less heat, all that kind of stuff.
You brought up a good point with the candles. Didn't think about that. Yes, lighting the home with candles. A lot of people like to have seasonal candles during this time, so I can see that also. But having a contractor come out and look at your furnace, that's a new one. I haven't necessarily thought of that, but I'm glad we have that information from someone who's seen it all in many different situations. So we spoke on the furnace. I mean, there's many different ways that people can heat their homes in many different places. What are some of the biggest places in the home that can become hazards from your experience?
A big one is if you have space heaters, not have combustibles around the space heaters. And they should have, a lot of the new ones have a feature where if you kick it or knock it over, when it becomes no longer upright, there's quite often a switch at the bottom that will kick, that'll turn the unit off. If you have an older one that doesn't have that, I recommend upgrading to one of the newer ones that I believe they're standard on all of them now, that if they get jostled, they get turned off. Because we've had fires before start where somebody knocks it over into a pile of rags or some papers, because quite often people have them under their desk. And if they have a home office or even at a place of business, and they'll kick it into a waste paper basket, and it causes a small fire under there, which can lead to bigger issues.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a few different things to be aware of that we're highlighting right now. And with us right here live on The Splash, West Bloomfield Fire Department Fire Captain Tim Tarak, just talking about safety in the homes as we prepare for those colder and winter months right here in the Greater West Bloomfield area. So we know that people are also cooking a lot more during these times, especially as we approach Thanksgiving and other holidays. You just talk about fire safety and situations that are situated around cooking and the stove and things of that nature.
Sure. So everyone thinks fire, put water on it, right? I think in recent years it's gotten out pretty well that for a cooking fire, especially a grease fire, water is the biggest thing you don't want to do, because when water hits superheated grease, the whole thing blows up into a giant fireball. And you can go online and see dramatic videos of it at our open houses, which we just had last month, or earlier in the month for Fire Prevention Week. We used to do a demonstration where we show putting water on superheated grease on a stove outside. We had a stove wired up that was able to show that, and just a massive fireball. So never put water on a cooking fire. The best way, the easiest one that you have right there with you in the kitchen probably, is a cover for that pot. So the key is smother the fires. Don't put water on them. So you have a grease fire if you're making your gravy for your turkey and you're heating up that grease and it flares up, cover that pot. There are also some commercially available things. One's called the Prepare to Hero. I've seen lots of videos online about that for your grill or your kitchen. It's a fire blanket that smothers the flame. So
Yeah,
the key,
I've heard of
those fires
those.
take away the oxygen, which extinguishes the fire. Instead, don't put water on it because that is a giant mess.
Seems like a great investment for the households all around, especially with that being said. Keeping that right next or near the stove or in the kitchen area for those types of situations. Thank you for highlighting that, because cooking
they come in a small package and you can get them on Amazon. That's the brand I've heard of is called Prepared Hero, and they're a very nice product.
There we go. There we go. Coming from the professional himself. We love to hear that. I want to pick your brain about something else that we don't necessarily talk about. We highlight smoke detectors all the time. Make sure you update them at least every 10 years. Batteries, make sure they're working. Test them out. What about carbon monoxide and carbon monoxide detectors? Are they a danger around this time? And can you just talk about how we could actually prepare for those also?
Yeah, carbon monoxide isn't so much a seasonal thing, but it's an all-the-time thing. Okay. Some levels of carbon monoxide, the levels we go by, it's measured in parts per million, which is a measurement of a lot of common components of the air are measured in parts per million. So carbon monoxide is one that we're around it all the time. We can be exposed to small amounts. Up to 9 parts per million is considered safe and normal. So I just actually got 2 new CO detectors for my home, CO being carbon monoxide, from Amazon because mine were 10 years old and at their end of life. So one thing is to watch that end of life, and on the back of every detector, whether it be smoke or carbon monoxide, in the very small print, if you read that small print, it'll say, dispose of 7 years out from first going in service, or 10 years out. Some are 10, some are 7, or some variation thereof. But so watch those expiration dates. And also I recommend having a carbon monoxide detector that has a reading on it that gives you a parts per million. Now, it may not be 100% accurate, but at least it's a number to go by.
Right.
And then you can see it. It can beep. They'll all alert you audibly. And if they give you a reading too, you can kind of know what amount it's picking up. Certainly call us. We'll come check it out and see if there's a bigger issue. Another thing to think about with CO detectors, if I have another minute, is for generators, right? For this time of year or any time of year when it's stormy and windy. If we lose power, generators are great. I have one at my home. Everyone knows to have them outside, certainly, because you've got to watch for that. The exhaust puts out carbon monoxide. So I had a call, a couple years ago where a gentleman did everything right. He had it outside of his home running in a storm, and he had a lot of CO in his house, and his alarms were going off. Thankfully, he had alarms, and they called us, and I said, hey, this is weird. It's outside. And then I noticed a basement window near where he had the generator going, and the basement window was cracked with letting in some air. He didn't think of it, and that was just happened to be near the exhaust. So when you place those those generators, look for open basement windows. Look for any points where air can get in the house, because if it can get in, it will, and it is a danger.
Ooh, that was a great thank you for providing that story and that example, because that's one of those small things, like you said, you may not pay attention to, but yeah, it could lead up to danger. So generators as well, something that could be a danger to the home, but make sure you're taking your extra precautions there. With us right here live on The Splash, talking about safety in and around the home as we prepare for those winter and cold months, from the West Bloomfield Fire Department, Fire Captain Tim Torak. Just a couple more questions real quick, Captain. If you don't have, if you have the time. First and foremost, just very briefly, are there any other things in or around the home that could be flammable that people may not even know about?
Boy. Well, over the years, everything we have is more flammable than it used to be. The blanket that you have at night just to be comfortable and snuggle up on your couch is made of, polyester and flammable materials, so everything heats up faster than it used to. The couch is burned now. We call it legacy construction. In this business, we call it legacy construction versus modern construction. So the average home, there are videos online, and you can see those too, but there are videos online that show a cigarette dropped into a couch in 1972 takes 5 minutes to get a full living room going in full flame. And that same cigarette dropped into today's couch with today's furnishings and today's draperies and today's carpet can get that entire room in a raging inferno in 2 minutes.
Ooh.
So it's really crazy how just the components of your house are much more flammable than they used to be because things are cheaper and more readily produced. If they're not cotton, now they're all synthetics. So just keep any heating source that you have, keep those combustibles, give them a distance, let everything breathe, let things air out. If you smell a weird smell, air things out. And if you need to call us, and we're happy to come check things out.
We appreciate that. Lastly, last question before we let you go. Just a couple quick things that we can do to prepare now for family emergencies.
It's great to have a plan. We stress whenever we have families come through or students come through on a tour, hey, go home and, tell your parents, check those detectors twice a year. When you change your clocks, change your batteries, or at least check your batteries. In recent years, detectors smoke detectors and CO detectors are going with lithium batteries that have a 10-year life. So you're not really changing batteries so much, but it's certainly a good idea to keep an eye on those and check those dates. When were they purchased? When did they go in service? And are we at those expiration end of life dates? Yeah. And also, God forbid you have an issue in the home, let's plan where we're going to be so that if you have a fire or a fire alarm and little Timmy runs to the backyard and Johnny goes to the street, and the parents go to the street, we're not looking, hey, we're missing one. So make sure all the kids, hey family, if we're going to have an issue, let's all meet in this place so we know we're all here. And then when we get there, we know quite often the front of the house is a great spot. So then the first thing we say, hey, is everybody out of the house? And then, we can have a quick answer to that very important question.
Hey, we appreciate all the information that you provided today, and we appreciate your time. Once again, from West Bloomfield Fire Department, Fire Captain Tim Tarak, thank you so much for your time and information, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Take care.
A lot of key information there, and we love to have, like we said, our local authorities on who are giving that key information as we come closer to that actual winter season with the snow. So get more information from the fire department on Facebook at facebook.com/WB Fire Department for more information regarding those resources. And as we did speak on winter is making its way specifically to Kego Harbor. The Kego Harbor Winter Wonderland will be taking place at Rose Sorter Park. That'll be Friday, December 6th from 6 to 7 p.m. If you're watching on CivicCenterTV.com, you see that beautiful graphic reminding us of that time of year. It's a chance to get out and enjoy this holiday season with your neighbors, enjoy some hot dogs, some s'mores, some hot chocolate, maybe even get a chance to see a snowfall on this very magical special night in our community. Donations also appreciated and will be taken in the form of non-perishable food for the Open Door Outreach Center. So if you do have that available, make sure you reach out to the Open Door Outreach Center regarding that. December 6th, 6 to 7 p.m., Rose Sorter Park, Friday, in Kego Harbor, the Winter Wonderland. Keeping things within the holiday spirit, you have an opportunity to help local people in need ahead of the holidays by donating to the Diabetic Food Pantry. Spirit of Grace Church in West Bloomfield is calling for donations to support their Diabetic Food Pantry and Blessing Box. The church is always in need of non-perishable foods, especially peanut butter, canned vegetables, soups, pasta, those type of things. Dire need of that. So donations definitely help provide those nutritious options and for those managing diabetes right here in our Greater West Bloomfield community. You can learn more by visiting their website, spiritofgrace.church, or check out their Facebook page, Spirit, the letter O, Grace on Facebook. Or you can give them a call at 248-337-3505. That's 248-338-3505. 3505. Once again, they are also located at 2399 Figure Avenue if you're looking to help out Spirit of Grace Church Diabetic Food Pantry. Keeping things on donations for the holiday season, the West Bloomfield Fire Department has kicked off its 11th annual Toys for Tots collection, and they are inviting the community to help spread that holiday love and cheer. Donations of new and unwrapped toys are now being accepted at 3 locations: West Bloomfield Town Hall on Walnut Lake Road, Fire Station 5 on West Maple Road, and Fire Station 1 on Orchard Lake Road. Your donation will bring smiles to the kids right here in need in West Bloomfield and Oakland County. Monetary donations are also accepted by check. They are welcome and payable to Marine Toys for Tots Foundations. If you do have more questions, of course, you can visit the West Bloomfield Fire Department on their Facebook page, WB Fire Department, for more information, or call the Fire Department Administration, 248-409-1505. That's 248-409-1505. Just to keep you in that holiday cheer as we approach the holidays. But we are the central station for everything that you need to know in the Greater West Bloomfield area, and we are happy to spread the word about everything that's going on. Once again, I am your host for today, Kevin McIntosh. I appreciate you for being here, and we are live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.